Okay, so metal.
Metal.
This show's about metal.
What is metal? We're going to spread the hidden value in music.
We're going to proselytize. We're going to get the word out there.
We are.
That's important.
Drive this metal bus into the depths of hell.
Okay. Well, bienvenidos. This is the Great Metal Podcast. This is the Metal Evangelist Luke.
Shredmaster Scott here.
Yeah.
Pete, what's your name? We need a name for you.
That'd be a good
Power
thing.
Pete.
Power Pete.
Power Metal Pete. Power Metal Pete.
We
maybe?
could have our listeners come up with a name for me.
Oh, yeah. Power Metal Pete.
Power Metal Pete.
Let's just go with that for now.
Power Pedal
If you're
Pete.
actually into power metal.
Yeah. Maybe I have a power pedal.
If you're not, then it's ironic.
Yeah.
So, Metal Evangelist, give us like a roadmap. What are we getting into today? What's the fucking scoop here?
So one of our many followers asked us a
Or
question
16.
about, can you have Christian metal?
Oh, that's
And
true.
Oh,
Wow, I
that
didn't
is
know we
good
were going to go
topic.
right into
We're
that.
going to
good
go right
topic.
into it because I think the rest of what we're going to talk about is going to come down to how we define metal.
Right side up cross or inverted cross?
What if it's at like
That's
a
the
45-degree
question.
angle? What is that?
I don't think that's a thing.
Is that like
Anybody?
devil penis but angel ass?
Maybe.
A little bit of both. Best of both worlds.
Best of both worlds.
So the question again is, can you have Christian metal?
Yeah.
Let's just
so
be clear on the...
I think a lot of people associate metal, especially like early metal from like the 70s, with
Right.
things like satanic symbolism,
Well,
the
that's-
devil horns.
So where did metal start? A lot of people say it's between Black Sabbath and Deep Purple. That's like the origins of metal. And
Right.
then there's some peripheral bands like Zeppelin, did some heavy shit. But
And basically that's like a baby versus like Arnold Schwarzenegger when you compare Deep Purple to a band like Insomnium.
imagine, though, the year is 1969, and Tony Iommi cuts the speaker cone, for the first time in his amplifier to get distortion.
Yeah.
Which no one's ever done before, well, except for Dick Dale. But
Oh,
but
well, Dick Dale.
there's no such thing as distortion in 1960 or whatever. So at that time, if you heard the production value of a Black Sabbath album, I mean, it just blows you away. Like no one was even close to that sound. It'd be like way more than Insomnium now, in a way, because the technology wasn't there.
Well, but also in a way in the leap that it was sonically for what was out there prior.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a bigger jump.
That's exactly
Yeah.
my point. Yeah. But in any case, Luke, so where are we going with that? So Christian,
Well,
early.
no,
metal
I
origins.
think so what you're insinuating is that the distorted guitar is kind of the hallmark of metal.
That's a really good question. What is it that makes the engine of metal?
Because Shred,
Defining metal is what we get back to needing.
right,
Yeah,
Shred, I watch occasionally one of your 8 million videos on YouTube and Instagram, and you talk about 20th century composers being metal AF.
Yeah.
Like Schoenberg.
Well, that's just because I'm trying to start a new genre called 20th century metal, but that's kind of a separate topic.
So can you be metal without distortion?
I think metal is characterized mainly by strong expression. Metal is really about, the deepest pain, the fastest music, the most extreme situations. Metal is really about taking things into the red. It's like red
Overall
line, right?
loudness, it says on Wikipedia.
Overall loudness. Man of War is the loudest band of all time, 139 decibels at their live show, which is really close to like Cape Canaveral shuttle taking off, throat rattling decibel power.
Somebody that does trivia should use that as a trivia question. Pete,
Yeah.
Talk to people at your bar.
I'll see what I can do. I'll see.
I don't
Maybe
think,
we'll get that.
Yeah, I
in
wouldn't
there.
go that loud at your bar. That would be,
Yeah.
How loud am I speaking right now? And then we
Nobody-
like crank the guy talking.
Yeah, there you go. So yeah, here,
Ear-shattering.
according to the Free Dictionary here, they define heavy metal music as loud and harsh-sounding music with a strong beat.
harsh. They use the word harsh.
Loud and harsh-sounding
Maybe
music
the
with a strong
harsh
beat.
part it means the distorted guitar.
Most likely, because they're idiots and they don't have any other words.
The question
to
is,
define.
what is distortion? It's partly compression. You're compressing the audio signal to make it a more even volume. But then there's the actual, like, sort of, there's like the overdrive
the
component, which
thick-
is really pushing the equipment to the limit. That's how Iommi got the distorted sound, plus, splitting the cone or whatever.
and Dick Dale.
And Dick Dale, yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
Dick
let
Dale
me
did
let me
first, yeah.
posit something for you guys.
Yeah.
What if metal is actually like an uber genre, right? It's like a parasite that
And we do have
attaches
a
itself to some other genre. So you have like country metal, you have like pop metal, like Leo Moracchioli.
Well, that's a good point.
He'll turn, Hello, whatever that chick's name is.
Yeah, Adele.
Adele, yeah, he'll turn like her songs, which are clearly not metal, into metal.
This is a really good point.
So metal is like you can take any genre
Yeah.
and you can do what you're talking about, push it to an extreme using
Right.
typically distorted guitars, double bass, whatever, and make it metal.
Speed.
It's a parasitic
Well,
sound.
and you could also say, what are the actual changes you're making to the original? And that's what metal is, right? Because those things that you're changing, to reflect the metal sound, that's really the essence of it. So if you took an Adele song, right, adding distortion,
which I am not
of
want
course
to do.
you would do that. Yeah, we're not going to force you. I don't think I'd do that myself. I might take like a Billie Eilish tune. I'd be more likely to do that. But
Yeah.
Well, so that's a couple parts. I think maybe there's a parasitic element to it, but you could say that you could like make other music like country. Like
Well,
you could
see,
do country versions of other music. I
Exactly,
think there's
yeah.
original genres of metal as well. And some of that comes down to like the topics. And
yeah.
yeah.
Well,
Okay.
I got a really good point on this too.
Hit it.
I was actually just thinking.
Slap us in the face.
I forgot about this. Tony Iommi actually was listening to Gustav Holst's The Planet Suite one day. In
Yep.
particular, Mars, the Bringer of War. That's one of the pieces from the suite. And that's what inspired his sound, he says. So Gustav Holst released this piece in, I think it was like 1912, or actually it might have been right after the Rite of Spring, or right before. I can't remember. It's early 1900s. Gustav Holst released this Planet Suite. Super metal, very dissonant, really loud, strong, emotional expression, power chords, tritones. And so Iommi's listening to this with Geezer Butler, the bass player to Black Sabbath, and they're like, you know what? Maybe we could come up. So they come up with Black Sabbath, boom, boom, boom. The evil trill. I don't know if you guys know that. Yeah. So that's maybe another. That's what you were mentioning earlier with the 20th century thing. Maybe is what you're getting at.
Yes.
But okay, I
what I'm
missed
saying.
that part. Yeah, I was thinking more like Schoenberg, but yeah, and maybe there's a connection there too.
That's what we're doing. We're making all kinds of connections today.
I mean, when I write metal, that's kind of what I source. I was really inspired by a lot of 20th century composers, but I can't speak for everyone, and I wasn't around in the 60s to start metal.
Well,
so.
we were talking, Luke and I, just earlier, and we were kind of saying, if you stripped down metal, if you took away the distortion, if you took away the guitars, and you just did the music, I mean, what would it sound like? And I think a lot of times that reminds me more of composers' music, because there's the technical, which we talked about in the last episode, the technical proficiency there, a lot more with the, I guess maybe like the the chord changes, the scales being used. I mean, Scott, you can talk to that a lot more, but would be more in line with some like classical compositions.
Yeah, so classical music is a huge influence, of course, on metal. In the 80s, Rising Force, Ingvar J. Malmsteen, he was a huge Bach fan in particular. He ripped off a lot of like Bach sequences and chord progressions, in particular, harmonic minor. So that's the neoclassical genre now, but really that wasn't so much a thing. Well, Ritchie Blackmore, you have to give credit to as well in terms of neoclassical, but
yeah. Well, it's certainly, you can't put metal in a box for sure, because like as an example, so actually featured band of the day, featured band of the day, woo.
Featured band.
So we're going to talk a little bit about this band called Seventh Wonder. I did a live stream with Shred, I don't know, 2 months ago or something, and he had me play some bands that I was listening to at the time that maybe nobody would know. And Seventh Wonder was one that I thought everybody would know, and nobody knew it.
I'm not familiar.
Yeah, well, so they're a straight progressive metal band.
Stockholm, Sweden.
From Sweden.
Started in 2000, it looks like. So
yeah, so their big breakthrough album was 2008, I believe, called Mercy Falls, which is a concept album. And they're probably most well known for their singer, Tommy Karavik. Karavik was actually, maybe even still to this day, is also the frontman for the U.S. prog metal band Camelot, which a lot of people don't know.
Yeah.
But he's also, if anybody follows Arion, Arn Anthony Lucason's one of his projects, he's done guest vocals on several of Arion albums.
Also Shadow Gallery,
Source.
looks like. Shadow Gallery's
oh, really? I thought Shadow Gallery was gone by the time.
It's an associated act, it says.
Wow.
So Tommy Karavik, just an incredible vocalist, unbelievably incredible. If you listen to bands like Dream Theater or Pagan's Mind, Seventh Wonder's right up your alley.
I like Pagan's Mind.
Fast, it's guitar driven. Really, they do a lot of like polyrhythms and really, really technical stuff. They're also incredibly musical. I mean, some just soaring melodies.
A concept album, right? Like, I mean,
Mercy Falls is a concept album. Yeah.
Listening to that earlier, I thought a lot about like Metropolis.
Scenes from a Memory.
Scenes from a Memory, because it tells a story. It's got the narration, but also musical themes coming, throughout the album.
I miss that, by the way, musical themes. I feel like people don't write that way that much anymore.
Oh, well, you know what? You want to know one of the best examples of that is Snow, the album Snow by Spock's Beard.
Yeah, Neil's a pro at that.
Unbelievable how he can tie like a simple 4 or 5 note theme through 500 different variations.
That's
throughout
real
the
composition.
album.
That's real composition.
Oh yeah,
I just got shivers just you saying the album. That's how good.
We should do an entire podcast on Spock's Beard, or just on Neil Morse in general.
But Neil Morse, I mean, that would get back to our original question, right? Because didn't he convert to Christianity?
Yeah,
hardcore
so, Christianity.
We should dig into that deeper on a separate episode, because I feel like defining metal was part of what we're talking about here.
Yeah,
and then whatnot. We need to get into Neil Morse and that whole thing as well.
He actually left Spock's Beard to go write a series of, he did a series of autobiographical albums called Testimony about him becoming a Christian, and then he wrote like 4 or 5 albums of praise and worship songs.
Was it that many albums?
It was a whole bunch of them. Yeah.
And all the while, Mike Portnoy stood by his side, faithful drummer. Mike Portnoy is such a big fan of Neil Morse's music.
Well, regardless of
extremely
Neil's
supportive
religious tendencies, the dude's musical.
He's a pro.
Oh,
he's
he's off the charts, stuff charts. But anyway, so getting back to Seventh Wonder here. So when you're listening to Mercy Falls, and you have these like hard, heavy, fast, complicated metal songs, and then they break it up. Like the fourth or fifth song is nothing but fingerstyle acoustic guitar and Tommy Karavik belting some of the most incredible vocal harmonies I've ever heard in my entire life. And
I love that about good metal is it's not just one-dimensional.
it's the opposite of one dimensional.
Right.
If it's just one dimensional, I'd almost say it's not metal or it's shit metal. It's
Yeah.
metal shit.
Metal shit.
It's like, if Zac Efron is metal, like he takes a dump, and that's music that doesn't have highs and lows. No dynamism.
Yeah.
Dynamism.
No,
Well,
I
that
think
gets
that's
back to
actually
the-
right.
Dynamism.
Dynamism.
Well, that gets
I
back
can't
to
say the word.
That gets back to the classical. We talked about the classical influence. I mean, if you listen to a classical composition, there's very few that are one-dimensional, I feel like. They're usually going, there's highs and lows, there's the valleys, there's like the story element in the music, not just in the lyrics. A lot of classical doesn't have lyrics, but there's like, the music is taking you on a journey.
Yes. Yep. Highs and lows, tension. It
That
builds.
this is actually
it
a good
releases.
point here, and yeah, the dynamic range of emotion that you feel in the music. When I listen to this, is one of the reasons I like 20th century composers, because you can feel sad with the minor scale, you can feel happy with the major scale, but these guys are using shit like the whole tone scale and Oliver Messiaen's modes of limited transposition. And there's all these subtle shades of emotion that you didn't even know you could feel.
Yeah.
With these scales that you don't typically hear.
Yes.
But there's a whole range of things we're missing out on, with Adele or, some more popular based music.
So we're covering a lot of ground here. I'm just going to take a quick second to say if we have live viewers or you're listening to the podcast, record it. We do now have a way to get your questions. So send emails to greatmetalpodcast@gmail.com, and we would love to take your questions on a future episode.
Plug the Insta too.
Yeah, Great Metal Podcast on Instagram. Follow us. We'll be posting fun promos and things while we're making new episodes, and then we'll have a link there to download the audio podcast as well.
And DM us nudes. Lots of nudes.
If you're not careful, I'll DM you nudes.
Yeah, you might just
Ooh.
might get it back.
Yeah.
Some metal nudes.
You will definitely get it back, for sure.
Some nice hardwood guitar necks.
Yeah.
It's dangerous to have access to all this live stuff when you're partying. Live stuff and a followers.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So just to finish up with Seventh Wonder here, because one, I want everybody to go out and buy this album.
So is that where you would recommend they start with Mercy Falls?
Yeah, it's certainly go by Mercy Falls. Again, entire discography is very, very powerful, very good. I would definitely start with Mercy Falls if you're new to Seventh Wonder. But so, just getting back to so you have metal, what everybody would listen to and definitely be like, yeah, this is metal. And then you get to a fingerstyle guitarist with the singer, and you're like, well, this individual song isn't metal by, the definition of distortion, all this kind of stuff. But Seventh Wonder's still metal, right? This is why you can't put it in a box. You just can't do it.
Yeah.
Metal is, it's like, supernatural means above nature. It's like super music. It's like above any style or genre. I don't know. I don't know how to define it.
I've never heard it, so I really can't comment on this one. But it sounds good. It's a good sales pitch, I have to say.
Yeah. At the end of the day, I don't think anybody needs to define it. You know what I mean? You like this kind of stuff or you don't like it,
Yeah.
and I don't know.
You don't need to put it in a box. Well, you like it or you don't like it. I mean, either way, we talked about that on the last episode.
Right.
Yes, you like it or you don't like it, but metal certainly has a higher level of technical proficiency often than other music. And so there's a certain level that I think if you're into music, you can find a level of appreciation in metal. Or you should be able to find a level of appreciation beyond the distortion that you may or may not like.
I think, it is some of those sonic elements that turn people off more than anything else. Just the distorted guitar, for whatever reason, is highly divisive. It really separates people. And some people like it and some people don't,
Yeah.
I don't even think my parents can hear that they're actually playing chords and it's actual music when they hear metal.
Right,
I think they hear it as just cacophony, you know?
Yeah.
Like just nothing at all.
Well, that's crazy. So you talk about variety in metal as well, and what is metal? I mean, I think about Devin Townsend. I mean, shoot, listen to the discography there, right? I mean, you have whole albums that are like, what is it? Was it
Terria?
Terria, that's
Ocean
like
Machine,
my favorite. But I was
Biomech.
thinking like, what is the one like that's got like the
So
ocean
Ocean
on the
Machine.
Oh, Biomech.
No,
Yeah,
no,
Ocean
no.
Machine Biomech.
Like he does the one. I don't have my phone in front of me, but it's like it's really soft. Like I gave it to my.
Oh, you're talking
my
about
mom.
Ghost?
Ghost, yeah.
Yeah.
Like Ghost, you know. But there's a lot of cool things going on sonically, but it's not about distorted guitars. To me, I think I got into metal from more progressive metal standpoint, and so I always felt like what was metal was almost the advanced songwriting, so to speak.
It is true. You don't come across, odd time signatures and high levels of technical proficiency in pop or country. Some country guitarists are all right, but their songwriting structures aren't very interesting.
Yeah, and the guys who are playing the pop stuff are monsters, make no doubt about it. Like guys like Tim
Maybe.
Pierce, who's active right now in the LA studio musician scene. He's a monster. Rick Beato, but
Oh yeah.
but like they don't. It's not appropriate for the genre. And it's not what they're going for. People typically don't have the attention span to absorb all of that complexity.
No, they're selling sugar, right?
Selling sugar, yeah.
Sugar is not healthy for you, but everybody likes the taste of it.
Goes
And
down easy.
Eventually, it kills you because it's terrible. And we'll do that
Rots
again.
the mind.
Yeah, music will get to a super stale point, but like pop music will get to a very stale point. One of the things I love about metal is, you want to talk about how it's grown and diversified from the 70s, arguably when it started. I'd actually probably argue that point. But then like to what it is today, like it is constantly pushing boundaries and growing. Pop music never does that. If you look at grunge was what it was when it died, exactly the same as it was when it started. It never grew. It came out of this, alternative, 80s rock scene, but then it was its own little growth, and then it died.
It's an interesting case study, actually, because in the 80s, technical proficiency got to such a high level.
Yeah.
If you called yourself a guitar player in the 80s, post Eddie Van Halen,
Yeah.
you better know what the fuck you're doing,
Right.
And then I think what happened with grunge was people got tired of the standard, this impossible standard. Keep up with it. Steve Vai released The Passion and the Warfare in 1990. People were like, that's it. I'm out. I'm not a guitar player anymore. I'm not competing with this anymore.
You're talking about on the musician side.
So, this is partly why grunge started, because they were like, now we're going to make it cool to not play our instruments well. It's just a big middle finger to what was considered popular at the time, and that's part of why it took off. People got sort of fatigues with the extreme nature of 80s metal and whatnot. But there's a balance to find there, and just the ebb and flow of society to an extent too. The way the zeitgeist shifts. But
Yeah, certainly. Tastes change throughout generations for sure, but also again, like there's nothing daring about the White Stripes. If you could see the look on my face, you would cringe with horror because
When we start releasing videos of this podcast, you'll be able to. And if you're watching us live, you might be able to.
oh my gosh, yeah, I'm going to look at the screen and show you my
I
face.
don't know if anybody's watching, but that's a good one, Luke.
The
I like
White
that
Stripe. When I even say the name of bands like that, they just disgust me because
You
it's
can
like
see it in your eyes.
yeah, because exactly what you said, Shred. It's like they take pride in the fact that they suck, and it's like, well, what are we doing?
There's a different art form for those guys. It has more to do with studio production You know, like Jack White in particular, you have to take it a case by case basis.
Of course.
Obviously, you know, like the pop stars we were talking about, how closely involved is Adele in the actual product that comes out?
Zero.
Well, she comes in and she sings. She's got a great voice. But the rest of the stuff, like the actual recording, production, aesthetics, she probably doesn't know what's going on there. But Jack White, he's, you know, very involved in the process. So
he's very involved.
So Devin
but it's
Townsend,
crap.
right? Devin Townsend is just a
Yeah.
wizard in the studio. You know, his ability to manipulate sound he's on a level that, you know, very few people are. And live sound as well, by the way. He's just really a master of that. So that's a whole discipline that you have to acknowledge, you know. It's,
And he can play his instrument.
right.
He's
and
not
that's-
just he's not just manipulating it in the studio to make it sound good.
Yeah, but the important thing to note is that those are two separate skills. You know, a studio
Yes.
production and being able to play your instrument well are two different things. And that's something musicians are really struggling with now because they're like, wait, now I have to do this too?
So do you think, Shred or Beer Guy, do either of you think that if you have a band that's technically very proficient, by them increasing their studio knowledge, that would make them more popular?
Oh, of course.
So you're
if you have a
saying
garbage recording, you know, it just sounds like you're in a trash can.
Oh yeah.
You know, no one's going to hear it. Don't give a fuck.
So you're saying that I'm talking about like popularity, right?
Yeah.
So you're saying like a band that is really, really good. So let's say they're really good live. They put on a hell of a show. They're just terrible at recording. If their recording was better, they'd be more popular.
That's a huge part of it.
Absolutely.
You have to sound good
that's-
on your recording.
Yeah, if you don't, because the problem is if you start an album and it's the production value is too low, you never give it a shot.
Yeah.
You talk a lot about doing like multiple spins, right? How many was it? 5, 7, 4?
4 spins.
4.
Takes
Okay.
4 spins.
So, you know, back in the day when there were CDs that spun, you had to. That's the thing. You would listen to the album 4 times to see if you liked it.
Okay.
But you might not get past the second song if the quality is so bad that
Oh,
it
yeah.
hurts to
So
listen to.
I actually have a band. So case in point, you might have just convinced me on air. I did a hope buy of this band called The Mist and the Morning Dew. And I
Yeah.
bought it because the name was so cool.
Yeah.
And it's an EP. It had 4 tracks on it.
think
They
I
were
remember this.
each about 8 or 10 minutes long. The music, the composition of it was really like haunting and it was good. It was like interesting music. The recording quality was like fuzzy,
Yeah.
and it would like fade in and out. Like the volume would go up and down. It was so hard to listen to because the recording quality was so bad. Like I've never seen anything like it. Those guys, I hope they got their shit together because they were good. The recording quality was unimaginably bad.
It is a conversation worth having. You know, I mean, black metal, almost kind of, that was a thing in black metal. Low production value was almost a part of the genre. Just because, you know, they were locked away in some dark dungeon in Sweden, you know, in a castle, and they just
Was that
didn't
like
have
a
much to work with. Killing
F you
people
to
on
the
the side.
system though too? Like, hey, we don't want to like deal with all the
Maybe.
Yeah,
I don't know. But those guys are just crazy actually. Stabbing people in the head.
yeah.
Stabbing people in the head.
Varg Vikernes, yeah, that's what he did. But he's out now. And he actually has a YouTube channel. He was in prison for like 20 years.
Wow.
Wait, was it a fan at a show? He stabbed a fan at a show?
No,
in the
no.
head?
He stabbed Euronymous or something. It was like a competing band member. It might have been in the same band, but
Oh, man.
yeah, like, so stabs him in the head a few times, goes to jail for 15, 20
right
years.
in the head.
Right
Yeah,
in the head, yeah.
That is
It's
a
a-
brutal stabbing location. Not easy, I would think. You know, there's a lot of solid mass there. Usually people go for the softer tissue.
They sort of take themselves a little bit too seriously in that time period.
A little bit too
Yeah.
seriously.
Well, no, that's true. Somebody asked me one time, like, why would you listen to Norwegian black metal? And
15 years, okay.
while I will say some Norwegian black metal is better than others, really the only time it's fulfilling to listen to Norwegian black metal is when you're really angry and you want to act out, but you don't actually want to go stab somebody in the head.
Have you acted out, Luke, on some churches, perhaps?
Never.
In the area?
Never.
Probably not the place to admit it.
My fingers may be crossed, but never. So no, it's a great outlet. It's a great outlet for aggression. It's like sports, right? A lot of people play sports, I think.
Yeah.
And they do it to like act out, like leave it on the field. I hear people say that in movies. Leave it on the field.
What does that mean?
I think it means like get your anger out on the field.
Right.
And
No,
then,
Well, particularly for
I
men.
kind of get that, but
I don't know.
Men have extra testosterone. Well, actually, a lot of men don't have that much testosterone anymore. It's like plummeted. But like old school guys and myself for sure, like I just have a lot of extra aggression that if I don't get to the gym and fucking work out or
Does listening to
shred
Norwegian
for a
black
while.
metal help?
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, because then you're living vicariously through that, and it's therapeutic. It's a cathartic thing.
A study came out, this wasn't that long ago, 4, 5, 6 months ago, that said listening to sad music when you're sad actually produces dopamine to make you happier.
Yeah.
So
it's cathartic.
And so when I would assume that a similar thing is happening when you're angry and you listen to angry music, it has the opposite effect. It's cathartic. It's a way of getting it out.
Yeah.
So
and
there's a place for Norwegian black metal.
Yeah.
And Shred's actually right. This is insane. I just looked it up. Studies show that men's testosterone levels have been declining for decades, about 1% per year.
That's
You
a
think
whole nother
they're-
topic. I don't want to get into that
Yeah, but
here,
that's insane. So I'm
it's-
just throwing that out there. That's insane.
So in
yeah,
another
it's-
50 years, we won't have Norwegian black metal.
Maybe we won't have men.
Maybe we won't have men.
This is a cultural thing that's happening largely because of like feminism and other influences. But it's the interesting thing to note here is that culture can change your biology. So we're
That
forcing
is.
evolution.
Well,
This
is that
artificial.
happening or is biology changing culture? I
no,
mean,
it's the other way around.
are you sure? Like if we're evolving,
Why would we suddenly, unless something in the water that's just
I
making
am
shriveling
not a
guys' nuts
one-celled
up?
amoeba.
There might be something in the water. Conspiracy.
Who knows? I'm not a professional.
All
on this
right.
topic, but-
Okay.
Back to Seventh Wonder.
Or
I think we're done with that.
Yeah, buy all their stuff.
I think
Buy all-
how
buy
far
all
are we
their
in
stuff.
here? We're
We're good on
about to
Seventh
wrap.
Wonder. I think we're probably getting close to the end. Again, if you have questions or issues you want us to address, make sure you hit us up on Instagram or shoot us an email to greatmetalpodcast@gmail.com. Metal Evangelist Luke, you got one
Duh.
more band for us. Let's spend a couple minutes on one more band.
Or did you have something else? You had a surprise. Was that the surprise? What was
No,
the surprise?
but you rushed us to live air, and I didn't have time to set it up.
Oh, we can do it another time.
We'll do it on another
Yeah.
podcast. I do have a surprise for these guys.
a future surprise?
I'm going to put them on the spot and see how they react.
Hope it makes me erect.
I don't know.
So
Your
that
testosterone
testosterone
levels
back,
maybe
yeah.
have been going down too much. I don't think Luke's surprise is going to get
I've
you.
never
erect.
had my T checked, to be honest. But
All right, give us one last shout
I hope it's
out.
666.
Last shout out here is going to go to a band called a dramatically underrated band called While Heaven Wept, and they're actually a U.S. based band, which I think are actually unfortunately few and far between. But While Heaven Wept, they've got a few albums out, 3 or 4. They consider themselves epic doom metal. That is
Yeah.
not what
Based
I
out
would-
of Virginia.
Virginia.
Yeah, out of Virginia. Yeah, you do not see too many bands, metal bands coming out of Virginia, I don't think. At least I haven't seen that. But these guys, my only issue with them is, so they're like atmospheric metal, and so it's a little bit slower, it's heavy, and you got a lot of like synths and stuff going on. But my only issue with them is that because they're trying to be atmospheric, they repeat a lot. So they'll play a passage for a very long period of time. Now their songs are very, very long, but the content is less than the length of their songs, right? Anyway, they're definitely worth a listen. These guys need to move up the charts. So I would plug While Heaven Wept. And just to clarify, so everybody's clear, we have no skin in this game.
Oh, yeah.
We don't we endorse these bands, like we're pushing them. They don't know we're pushing them. We don't see a penny from these guys. This is all for the love of metal. So
Can I just say that this band, While Heaven Wept, has 22 former members.
yeah.
Yeah.
So active revolving door.
That's phenomenal.
How many followers do they have on Instagram?
I don't know. They
there's
have a
a
lot
lot.
of former members, though. Hopefully they're all
You
followed.
counted each one of those individually, didn't you?
I did real quick.
It's a long list.
I will say on the topic of repeating, this is just an interesting thing to think about. I also feel like Devin Townsend repeats a lot, but I don't get sick of it. Like the stuff, if you can write a good riff, you can run that riff for a couple minutes.
Yeah, though, Scott, Shredmaster talks about this concept in composition called repetition and development. And Devin is so good at that. He'll take something and the next time he changes it a little bit.
Definitely develops.
Then he
That's the
adds
secret.
something.
That's
and
the
then
secret.
He takes
Yeah.
something away and then he moves something and Devin's really good at keeping it interesting while repeating over and over and over.
Yeah, it's definitely not like he hit repeat and it was the same thing.
Right.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. The
Right.
development is definitely there strong in Devin's songs.
Yes, if While Heaven Wept is listening to this, I would say, guys, do a little bit more of the development side. I like your riffs. I like what you're doing, but there's not as much development there to keep it as interesting as a guy like Devin, unfortunately. So While Heaven Wept actually has 192 followers on Instagram. So it'll be 193 here in a minute.
Because the Great Metal Podcast is going to be following him.
Damn Skippy. But everybody should go follow him. I'd like to see those guys at 1,000 by the next time I look.
Yeah,
So-
well, and because we're probably the best metal podcast on the internet, there's a good chance that we're going to be helping them boost their numbers.
Yes. So if they're at 1,000 next time I look, that's a testament to all you guys that are
Yeah,
listening right now.
yeah.
All of you, because
So,
there's a lot.
everybody's got their homework. We're going to keep putting these podcasts out. You got any closing comments for us, either you two?
Stay jacked.
Bienvenidos.
Peace.